Well, hello people, and welcome back to part 58 of Thessia, our Aussie-inspired build. I hope you're having a wonderful day, and just enjoying, yet again, another view from the skyline as we built up. A little bit of real-life inspiration last episode, had a lot of fun building around the harbour bridge, and there is still more work to do over this side of the city. While I do have your guys' attention, I would love to know what you think should go over here. I'm thinking kind of a big, pedestrianised modern commercial district right near the airport. It's what's near Sydney Airport anyway, of course, which is what Thessia International is based upon. However, today's episode, what I do want to do is tick off a build I've been thinking about for a long time. Kind of a very luxurious country estate that's often used for wedding venues, and I've been scouting out places across the map as to where this could go across the Thessia Isles. There's many an appropriate location, I think. But where I would like to place it, I think is going to be in the foothills of Sentinel. We haven't built over this part of the map for quite a while. Broker is just down the road, of course, which we have been working on recently. But there's a little just hill here where I think we could get a nice country house, build some really nice detailed landscaped grounds, and then also finish off some bits of Sentinel, because there is some bits of the town here we never actually polished off. So we can also do a little bit of work back in the beach town as well. I think we also spoke about adding a Ferris wheel onto the beach as well, didn't we? So we can do that where we are back in Sentinel. But either way, let's build Thessia, a extremely luxurious wedding venue on the hills overlooking Sentinel and the volcano, shall we? Should be a lot of fun, this one. Very unique little build. So first of all, let's get rid of the trees here, because we don't want them to be annealing through our roads. And we'll probably remove a little bit of that resource as well. You can see where the texture's changing there. I think that's oil resource under here. But let's just find our positioning first. So I don't want it to be right up the mountain. Kind of a similar height really to the Sony Vineyards over here is kind of what we're trying to achieve. So let's come into our terrain tools, and we want to level out the area first because we're going to be doing lots of prop work here. And we want to make sure the ground is as friendly to us as possible, otherwise the prop work will just be an absolute bloody nightmare. So I reckon that's a decent height there, isn't it? Let's push that back, and we'll obviously make this look as natural as possible. We can also build in some retaining walls if we need them as well. So I want this to be a fairly substantial estate. Now let's push out. Don't really want too much of this cliff texture generating. Of course, we can always soften and slope it out. There's nothing on the bottom hills here that stops us from doing that. We also want to make sure we've got enough room to play with. It's not going to be an enormous build, but at least a fair size. Let's just square all of that off. I'm pretty happy with that. And then just run around the edge with the soften tool, just to blend a bit of that cliff texture back in. Cool. So that should give us a really nice positioning. And overlooking Sentinel, you will have to not look to your right. Otherwise you'll see all of Sentinel's feces being processed in one go. But otherwise, I think that's going to be a pretty nice view to get married, isn't it? You can see the port down here. Little multiple coloured houses in Sentinel itself. Beach. Nice big tourist town. All those transport networks moving back and to as well. Love how alive Thessia feels these days. Even see the Australian Navy over there as well. Well, the Thessian Navy, rather. Cool. So let's place our first asset. So I almost want to build this build back to front. Just due to having limited space to work with, I want to make sure we prioritize the smaller assets first. So in terms of the road we're going to use for it, I know it's a little weird, but parking lot service road gives us kind of a bit of a neutral road, right? I just want some kind of black tarmac. I guess we could even go dirt for some stretches. I think maybe we will try a little bit of dirt as well. Yeah, I think we'll go with dirt just for right now. So I think the quintessential buildings for any venue, given the official releases, of course, there's tons of assets on the workshop you could grab. But Seaside Resorts is obviously going to be the go-to for us, isn't it? So Old Orchid House straight away. Looks like it might be nice. So that one's not too bad. Now I think we can recolor these, can't we? What changes? So the colour of the wood, that changes with recolor, which is fine. So we can always bear that in mind as well if we need to change some aesthetics. But I think if we're going to go with Old Orchid House, we'll also grab some of the other similar themed buildings, so we can make it like a little bit of a country estate. It's not the first time we've come to build something like this. And that should probably do. I don't want to overdo it for right now. Let's kind of run with these for our initial concept, okay? So we can have that there. I think certainly we'll host our wedding ceremonies down here. Now, a lot of this will be based off of pathwork. We want kind of extremely landscaped gardens, of course, which we'll have a look at some props we've got off of the workshop for that. So let's say we come straight out the house here. Now, I'll probably knock this back onto its own little kind of designed driveway. But definitely want to have that centralized up here. And then we might put a little bit of a key in here. I'm not sure. We'll just sort of see how it develops. And if we come into our new props here, you'll see we have tons of new hedges. There's a new fence network as well. Some of these kind of box cut hedges, which are very nice. There's even a little teapot there as well. It's very cool, isn't it? There's also there's also a cock and bollocks as well. I didn't realise that was in there. Okay, that's a very... I suppose it's appropriate for a wedding, isn't it? I didn't realise that was there. I don't know what else we're going to check out here, but yeah, you do get the point, right? Lots of very trimmed, manicured hedges that we can use to line our pathways to create this really nice estate, okay? Maybe not so much the cock and balls bush, but the other ones, absolutely, they can all be used here. So we'll see exactly what it is that we can do with that. So let's also grab a gazebo. Now, we could use one of the prop gazebos here, which would absolutely work, but I think we can get people using these paths if we actually use a proper gazebo here. I think it might be quite nice to see some people kind of walking up and down the wedding path, if you like. So let's throw that in there. Maybe we'll mess with our terrain a little bit. I think I'm happy with that. Now let's just recorrect some of these pathways. Now he does need a park life area. Does Sentinel have a park life area we can just steal? Actually, we do have a park area, don't we? We can just steal a little bit of the Queen's Park District. Throw it over here. And then we can just use that to place any assets we want then. Without the need for a main gate. I believe you can also do this with the Parkify mod as well, I think it's called, but I do not have it installed. But there we go. Now the gazebo will work. And we can start to attract some people up to our very luxurious wedding venue here, right? Getting married in the shadow of Mount Egna. That's going to look so cool. No, just, oh, a bird just emerged from the ground. That's okay. And then with our props here, I also have a bride and groom. So we can possibly have some fun with props. Let's place this guy here. Because they're a little bit far away. I don't know if this pack actually comes with a priest. Or is it a vicar that marries? I'm not entirely sure. I guess it could be both, right? But we can have some bridesmaids. And a couple of Bestis Mensch over here as well. And I guess if there's no priest, I guess we could just get Jerry to marry them. So that is a scene. Jerry, of course, did get married in Ilos way back in the day. But he's now hosting ceremonies over in Thessia. Crazy how things turn out, isn't it? Cool. So you get the impression with that, right? We'll do lots of nice landscaping through here in a second. Now let's return back toward our main estate, shall we? So I definitely want to factor in some nice gardens through here. So for the time being, let me just shift over a little friend here. And then we'll start to draw out some nice little roads up this way. So let's go... No grid snap here. And I'd like to line up pretty much in that grid there. Let's do 5, and that'll connect back in, and then we'll make a little roundabout at the top here. Let's do something quite tasteful. I think just 2 deep all the way around would suffice. I want to keep the scale quite realistic here. We'll also have to bear in mind to do our own lighting today as well. We are going to use dirt roads everywhere. I haven't quite decided on the road yet, I don't think. Cool. So we can have that there. Let's already do some of that landscaping just to help give ourselves an impression of what's going to happen. I think a wild hedge ring always goes well, doesn't it? So let's grab in something like that. And then do we have any kind of like custom cute smaller bushes I wouldn't be averse to? That one's quite nice, isn't it? And maybe some of these little rose bushes here as well. You can also work in some of the park maintenance stuff as well, kind of as like general groundskeeper vibes, right? Maybe a little bit of undergrowth underneath there. Okay. So lots of fun with plants and flowers today. Lots of repeated designs with the line tool will help us really create the atmosphere. So I like that. Of course, we'll have lots of nice big gardens out the front here. But until that point, I would like to continue to have more seaside resort assets. So if you're going to come straight up the side there, I think we will give it a little bit more breathing room than that. Maybe let's try it that way. Got like a tile of space there between the asset, haven't we? What's the distance here? 8 units. Move that one over. And then we'll repeat that this side. Cool. I reckon that's what I'm after. And then we can use these two dirt frames here to actually give access to our secondary asset, which is going to be this one over here. I just noticed, like, this little bit of garbage here in Sentinel never, ever gets collected. And I'm not sure why, because it is technically on a road. So the parking lot road won't reach it for some reason. Or the garbage truck won't come here down to this end of the parking lot road. It should do, but they won't. Maybe they will. Sentinel should have plenty of garbage trucks in use, yeah, so it's not like they're not around, you know? Cool, so let's return back to these houses now, and then we'll grab our secondary larger house. Which again, we will turn around. Of course, I'd like it to be central with our friend down the opposite end there. Looks like we can line up that little spire it has on top of it pretty much perfectly. It's going to be a hard one to line up, that, isn't it? Why don't we grab a road from this one, and then we can use that as our centralization point. So that's pretty much what I want right there, I think. And of course, we'll turn it around. But I don't want this road here all the time, so we will draw off some frames, and then we can delete that was there. And then essentially just replace them with the dirt pathways, which will give us that real country sort of home aesthetic on it. There we go. And then lots more manicurable gardens available through here. Now let's find a place for our kind of smaller asset over here too. I did mention would like some kind of park maintenance, like it's a bit of a base for the groundskeeper here. Now of course there is the park maintenance building, but I don't know if that's going to maybe be a little too chungus for what it is I'm after here. And again, I guess if this is an estate that's hosting kind of country weddings, you would maybe expect this kind of administration behind the scenes, wouldn't you? So maybe we will have this up here. Kind of an old barn that maybe was used for farming back in the day, but now holds, you know, 300 foldable chairs for any wedding services that turn up here. I don't think I can buy into it. I don't think I'm going to be against it. So we'll just have this come off the side of the estate and kind of have a bit of a forested back admin area here where all this stuff is stored. We can do some prop work as well during the detail and time-lapse to help bring that vibe together a little bit. I think we can just have that there. Probably do a little bit of bob work on it. I don't want the parking spaces there, I don't think. Probably take the concrete off it as well with a little bit of surface painter, which shouldn't be too horrendous. We'll have a little look at what that's like. Yeah, not vast amounts of concrete up here, I don't think. Maybe with a little bit of arrivals parking, we'll have some concrete, but otherwise just kind of dirt and grass, I think, is a general vibe. But it's also hire Robert to remove the parking spaces here too. There we go. Let's get rid of those. Perfect. So we know that they're off to the side. You can kind of just glimpse it if you like through the foliage here. Well, the foliage that doesn't exist, but will one day. So let's return to giving these guys access. We will need to slope up here, so I'll just go from there. Yeah, kind of generally blend all this into quite a harsh slope if we can. Some switchback vibes will be needed here, I think, but alongside some nice rock detail and help us blend in these layers. Wouldn't mind testing out that key as well while we're on the subject of it. So in terms of the road up, I think a tree-lined road might be quite tasty. Yeah, two-lane road with trees, I think, is what I would expect to drive up, going up one of these places. We do have a lot of these sorts of venues near where I live, close to the Lake District. Lots of kind of like country house wedding venues, so there's tons of inspiration on Google Earth for a place like this. Like more interesting way to use seaside resorts as well, I think, isn't it? Cool. So we can also do a little bit of network multi-slope on this if we want, but I think we should be okay. And then with that final one that's hit the curve tool, bring that one up. And then we'll connect it in here. Something like that. Special. So, of course, we will want to keep it tree-lined. Let's have a look what's possible. I would like to make use of a custom tree if possible. Got the hardwoods. You know what? That's actually not too bad. I think maybe I do like that design. Let's just set it up through the whole road. I think possible argument to be made is a little bit too tree spicy, so we might switch out a couple of segments for just grass-lined. That might make it a bit more tolerable. If we have that one there, and then just essentially every other segment as grass-lined, then that might just break up the relentless hardwood, if you like, for lack of a better phrase. How do we feel about that? Sort of driving up and then the tree line breaks. Yeah, I think I'm pretty happy with that. I'd say it's fairly realistic, isn't it? I don't think it's too bad at all. Here comes our first person down as well. Fantastic. And then I think in terms of a connection here, we'll probably just go for a regular road, I think. We'll just use the 4-lane vanilla. I think if it's possible here, maybe we introduce something we did in Valkyrie with one of the connections. We'll do something similar to this, which has held up to this day, actually. But I don't think the Valkyrie, well, the Sentinel estate is going to be as busy as the banana interchange on the edge of Valkyrie, so we should be okay. But if we do need to change it, we can always switch it out for one of those kind of roundabouts in the middle of the couplet if we need. Otherwise, this should be alright, I think. So back at the estate, we've also got a smaller house to work in here. Now, I wouldn't mind this sort of functioning maybe as like the honeymoon suite, if you like, for lack of a better phrase, but the honeymoon house, I suppose. And maybe somewhere where the bride and groom stay and everyone else stays in kind of the main houses, if you like. So why don't we have this maybe just off to the side here? Have a little when you come out this way. Now we can also detail a little pool around this as well during our time lapse. So let's have this again sat on the edge of the road there. That's again really nice waking up to views on your first day of bride and groom, etc. Wonderful views over to Mount Egna there, isn't it? If we can position ourselves in the window frame. Again, really nice down to Sentinel. Maybe people would prefer to stay in the spa hotel. Of course, there is lots of hotel facilities in Sentinel, if the venue is fully booked, which I really like. That's cool. That was a happy accident. And yeah, we can get some props and keys around here and whatnot to make the honeymoon suite a little more appealing. And then I have just remembered actually one of the other seaside resort assets, this one, the Gordon Park Pavilion, I think might also make a nice accompaniment because it kind of really works well as a bit of a cliffside asset. So maybe this can be like the function room where either, you know, other ceremonies besides weddings are held, or, you know, this is where they have the wedding breakfast, for example, where they can come out onto the balcony. There's kind of 2 stories here as well. Just enjoy the views across, you know, Thessia. Don't look to the left because you'll see Sentinel's industry. Just keep your eyes focused on Thessia. And maybe we can also pretend there's a deal as well with Tassoni Vineyards to keep the estate here stocked with Thessia's finest wines, right? It might be quite a lot of fun. Cool, so the frame's really coming together here now, right? Starting to see this estate established on the hillside. Lots more fun to be had though. I definitely want to create parking because we're starting to see this now. But let's use Traffic Manager and we will restrict parking on all of these roads. no parking at all on the dirt. Cool. And then we will actually create some dedicated guest parking for the estate, which I think will have arrived just off where we've already got the tarmac. So let's grab, we will use the well-maintained ones here. And let's have a little 5-unit in here. I think it also makes sense to downgrade that to a grass section now, doesn't it? And then we will do some simple patterns here. I don't want like a massive kind of Walmart parking lot up here. So let's just do 7 and then 4 and then another 7. I think it should do us. Maybe we can have some sort of overflow parking next to it near where we have all our wedding venue storage where Professor X has just left as well. They are hilarious. Those little guys, aren't they? I did wish they kept them in for CS2. And let's also give that a connection too so people can go up there. Cool. Lots of little facilities now across the country estate, isn't there? I think that's all the ones I want to use. There's plenty of room there, isn't there, between the 4 buildings? And then let's also grab like a bit of overflow parking. Do one as a 10 down here, I think. That should be pretty sensible. Cool. And then we'll stuck some parking spaces up here too. Nice. So that gives us some parking for our guests to arrive, and I'll probably turn off the aesthetic of pedestrian crossings with node controller as well. We'll just kind of blend this car park into the estate with dirt pathways, get some nice trees around it as well. Where are you lot coming from? Why are you all walking down here? Tourists going to see the Abbott Hotel. I like they're all high wealth, going to see Old Orchid House. Wonderful. All the mega rich tourists of Thessia are all coming up to the rich place, which is very thematic, isn't it? Very nice. And then before we do move into that detailing time lapse, I would like to test the possibility of keys here. So I think the simple seawall is going to be the most appropriate, isn't it? I just want to sort of see. I mean, it would be nice to have people walking around the edge of this estate as well, wouldn't it? Maybe we factor that in. Maybe not around the whole thing. I don't want it to look too overdeveloped, you know? I guess is the phrase here. Over-engineered, I think, is really the phrase I'm looking at. But there is something to be said about key, just sort of maintaining the structure there, right? But also give us some lighting at night as well. Yeah, we're super dark up here at night. We'll have to make sure we provide our own lighting during that detailing time lapse. But either way, we do have our first wedding, apart from all the groom's people and bride's people are all floating, which is magic of the wedding, I suppose, isn't it? But either way, that does feel like a fun point for a detailing time. That's where we have an enormous amount of landscaping to do. Lots of repeated bushes, using all our new networks and hedges and trimmed cock and bull bushes. I'll try and work it in as well, if I can, without laughing too much anyway. And yeah, generally tidy up the area. Lots of prop work as if this is kind of big storage for a wedding. Kind of lots of tables, chairs, catering equipment and whatnot. And generally settle in this big country wedding venue on the hillside overlooking Sentinel and Mount Egna. And then we'll be right back. Hey guys, let's have a little gander around our wedding venue estate, shall we? So starting from our maintenance building, we have added in a little lake feature which has some rocks and a little pathway around the edge with some benches with really nice views across the water and the estate and the general Thessian countryside. These are illuminated at night as well, which is very nice. And then we approach lots of nice little hedge work around the main estate with some of those box hedges. And we also got some of our cock and balls hedges in here as well, which is nice. Really didn't expect that asset to be part of this mod pack. Everything else is so on point, and then random grass genitalia. It's not what you expect when you download an asset pack, is it? Then coming across to our wedding breakfast venue, this now occupies a very nice viewpoint across Thessia, the kind of general Thessian mountain range, which one day will be our main national park over there. And then of course views down to Sentinel, and it's appropriate in the sheen. You see a bun in some here as well, which is quite nice, isn't it? Next door to this we have a child's play area, just in case there are any children in attendance on a wedding, or generally just visiting the venue when it's not a wedding on. And a little tropical garden as well, just out here in the grounds looking back towards the homes over there. Very nice indeed. And then next door to this, more hedge and pathwork, allowing people to walk around and enjoy the estate before they do arrive at one of the bridge assets here with the gazebo and the pond. I thought this would be a great bit for the estate, maybe a bit of a wedding photo opportunity, bride and groom stood on the bridge, etc., with sort of nice general country surroundings behind them maybe. Either way, someone is stood on the bridge and enjoying the ambience anyway. Approaching the front of the garden, you arrive into more of those box hedge patterns with things we placed during the episode, and then some new kind of gnarly trees over here, much more exotic looking ones. With benches and statues around the bottom of them. There's also some tiny little statues in the grounds around here as well. Jerry Senior over there, a little statue of Jesus. And then we also have some more trees and hedging around the back end of our last estate building. Approaching the main grounds at the front here, there is lots more landscaping with the little triangle trees, or I'm not sure what you call these, are cone trees I guess, really, more than triangles, aren't they? And then there's lots of pathwork here, dropped in a part life chessboard. A giant chessboard seems like the exact sort of thing you'd find in an estate like this. So we do have some people playing giant chess. Then more photo opportunities for the happy couple over here in the gazebos and flowers and open grass lawns and exotic trees, and it's really nice putting these things together. There's another little path down here next to a statue with lots of colourful flowers. Another statue of, it's not even, is it Jesus? I think it is, isn't it? Maybe, it looks a little bit like it. I'm not actually sure what it's called. But there is benches over here again where people can sit and enjoy the ambience of the estate. When we do come down here, we'll call into the wedding venue lastly. And we'll head over to the honeymoon house where old Grandma McGee has just come out. Must be on her honeymoon for a 5th wedding maybe. And then we look over the hedge where we do have some little planters helping to shade the benches. A little table for 2 here, if you like, with a grill out the back and a nice little bedside pool to lie on with. Essentially what is like an infinity pool. Prop over here with some more benches and general chill space for a happy couple to just breathe in the views of Mount Egna from here, right? What a wonderful place to honeymoon that is. Hope it doesn't erupt. Why anyone's here. Although I guess it is in a continual state of eruption after we did that build, isn't it? So, but you know, you could totally imagine couples taking a trip up Mount Egna on the cable car that is over there, right? That'd be a lot of fun to do something like that, wouldn't it? So we now have our honeymoon house on the grounds as well, which has just been blended in with those higher hedges, which are really nice networks, aren't they? I really like how they sit. And then there's lots of white and red flower linings around the estate too. There's old Grandma McGee again. She just got a cat from somewhere. Maybe she left it in the car. And then we do approach the final wedding venue again, which is more hedging, more box hedges too. And then we also have these cute little archways, which just make the perfect wedding vibe, don't they? Use some of the wicker chairs from Africa in Miniature. So it's, funnily enough, it's the only single chair prop the vanilla game has. Everything else comes with a table. So to save myself a trip to the workshop, we just went with these. But I think they do a pretty convincing job, don't they? And then we do have our wedding ceremony with another arch, another set of trees. Mitch is the only guest. Obviously, this couple isn't the most popular in the world. Only one person turned up for their wedding. It was with the 3 bridesmaids and the 3 best men over here as well. With the happy couple and master of ceremonies, the faceless Jerry, of course, with the gazebo. sat here right at the head of the estate. And a really unique build and a nice way to use some really cute new box hedge assets that we've been looking at on the workshop for a while. Now, it sits very nicely atop the hills overlooking Sentinel. But that will do it for today, guys. Thank you for continuing to love, watch, and support Thessia, our modded CS1 series. Instant Gaming and Patreon are down below if you'd like to get involved in supporting the channel. And a massive shout out to all those patrons. Thank you for so many new people as well that have arrived with the start of Rannoch. So thank you so much for that. Really appreciate all of you. Besides all that, I'm very happy with this build in Thessia. It's nice to be back over by Sentinel. You don't spend too much time over this side of the map really anymore since we've been working on the CBD. And don't forget to let me know what you think should sit near the airport as well. I haven't quite figured out what I've earmarked that space for just yet. So let me know if you have any cool ideas of what could sit next to our international airport. It doesn't have to be residential or commercial. We go industry if we want. Whatever, either way, just let me know. Besides that, please do enjoy some wonderful cinematics back over this side of Sentinel from the new estate. Otherwise, I will shut up and leave it there. Let's thank you all so much indeed for watching. And as always, enjoy the rest of your day.